So
Okay.
we'll just start the talk. So we always start from the beginning. Tell us how design happened to you and how did NID happen and your experience in NID.
So I was a like an artistic-ish kid. You know how they say, "Oh, ये कुछ करती है, ये artist बनेगी," sort of thing. So that was there since a very young age. But I used to get pretty misleaded by the fact that everyone used to call me an artist because I thought that's what I was going to be like in fine art. But the stuff I was doing wasn't really art at all. So I was really confused because I was making stop motion videos. I was making at like 15, 14, I was creating really big sets in like whatever places I could find. So, I mean, I was doing a bunch of design-ish stuff, but I wouldn't really even call it, I don't know, design because there wasn't any formality in the whole thing. It was just me playing around. I would just say I was just like a kid who was having a lot of fun. And the adults stepped in, told me that I'm going to be an artist. And the only place I applied to was NID because my mother knew about it. And apparently, this was the only thing that deserved me. And I applied and I got through. It was a really, really rocky journey because I don't have the best sort of repertoire in any institution. Like my school life was pretty bad, pretty bullied, misunderstood, artistic child. But then I thought, oh, college jaake wo change ho jayega, but it didn't. And that's when I was like, oh, wait, you can go to a design college and still have the exact same social issues when it comes down to like you wanting to do things differently or whatever. So yeah, design happened because I'm artistic, but I'm also really rebellious and I like doing things my own way.
That's really nice. Like I was going through some of your other interviews and articles about you, and all of them talk about how you were interested in textile design. Even you
Yeah,
mentioned it once.
yeah,
Textile was one thing you was really interested in, and we
yeah,
actually see it in ceramic design where you use ajrak and then you use different kinds of
yeah.
really fun things. So, have you carried that love for textile with you?
I
Uh,
have been really obsessed with clothing and just how much you can, I don't know, change someone's visual by dressing them up in a way or making them over in a way. So it's less about just clothes and it's more about like a visual. Like a person attached to a visual kind of translates into clothes and like a look. So I'm really into that idea and trying to, I don't know, tilt it in this way or experiment or probe with it in this way or that way. So that's where clothes came from, and textile came from clothes, but then I wasn't able to get into textile. And it's not like, do I still carry textile with me? I mean, I'm immensely interested in it because before NID as well, my mother's really into textiles. So I just would know a lot about the techniques of something or just like what is the difference between kalamkari, block print, ajrak, like all of this I had known before. And वो सब बहुत छोटी छोटी चीजें होती हैं which you, I don't know, would say that clothes matter a lot to me. And I don't, I don't, I wouldn't say that I've taken textile with me. I've been making my clothes since I was a very small child, like something or the other. And at some point in college, I decided कि नहीं, my whole identity is going to be that मैं जो भी यूज करती हूँ मैं खुद बनाती हूँ because I had eventually gotten into industrial design which is product ish, so I was making products. बट देन आई वाज लाइक कि नहीं, मुझे सब कुछ ही तो प्रोडक्ट है, मुझे सब कुछ खुद बनाना है. एंड टेक्सटाइल कम्स इन बिकॉज we wear a lot of clothes, yeah. We're really fucking obsessed with clothes as like art people, design people, creative people, or just people. Like the textile market has blown up, clothes have blown up. Everyone wants to do some like independent clothing business. मैं ये कर रही हूँ, मैं वो सिलवाती हूँ, मैं शर्टें सिलवाता हूँ, like सब होता रहता. तो I wouldn't say that I've done a lot in the textile community. I'm just someone making my own clothes because I really like wearing clothes. And that's it.
that's amazing. Like I don't know how many people have gone through, but I kind of dug up about you and I saw this article in Verve. So there's an article about Vivitsa and how her clothing style is super unique and how she makes her stuff, and it's such a sustainable practice to do so. And I love your fashion. So
Thank you.
welcome. So I was thinking, so we had a lot of guest questions, so I had to do pretty much very less work because there's so many curious souls out there. One of the
Yay.
biggest questions that we got was people want to know about your graduation project. So it won GP of the year in an IDM Ahmedabad.
Yeah.
So tell us more about your GP and even
Okay.
your
So
experience in Israel.
I'm going to relate my GP to my exchange. So I did my GP in Israel where I did my exchange. So in third year, I went for exchange to Israel as an industrial designer, and wahan pe there's less segregation in what design specialty you're in. You're just in VC or ID and or furniture. And I was in ID, and most of our tasks or projects or whatever we were doing were very product related, very, very product related. And my whole thing was like, I would love to work in another material, but I wanted to use the opportunity to make it more about ceramic because I was afraid of my faculty. I was afraid of Nilima and Swagata telling me that my exchange was garbage because I did other shit and I didn't do ceramics. So I just was like, okay, I have to figure out a way to do ceramic, even though ceramic was really, really expensive there. Like to get a bucket of like clay cost me like some thousands, and I was like devastated. I was like, I thought I would save. I came to this place to be able to spend very little money, but like, yeah, it was difficult. And I would say Israel ka whole atmosphere in terms of design is very different. There's more liquid money in Israel, I would say. There's just a lot more people spending on everything, people spending on design, people spending on products. People get very little money and then they would go out and spend it. It's just going all over the place. So the motivation you have to be able to design more and more is just, it's vast. It's a very small country, tiny. Like if you look at it on the world map, you can't even make out the outlines. It's tiny. It's a tiny people living for themselves and fighting the rest of the world on lots of political issues. And it's a yeah, I would say it was just the biggest stroke of luck that I got to go there for my exchange. And I actually went there on exchange because I couldn't make it to Europe or something because I don't know, we weren't getting any exchange offers or something. But yeah, so when I went there, almost first, second week in, I found this boy who I ended up really, really liking, and we ended up living together a bunch. And he's this software engineer, and I was like super into software engineers. And eventually we decided, okay, this is a bit too good. Let's not stop. And I was like, listen, I can figure this out. I have to do my GP somewhere, and I will do it on my own because anyway, I was gonna work on my own. There's no way I would have done it for like as a job for someone else. But I was like, if I have to do it on my own, I'll do it here. So I had this kind of foresight कि मेरे को अब पक्का यहाँ पे वापस आना है. So in my exchange only, towards the end, I started sending 30 mails to like WhatsApp messages, Facebook messages to random बिल्कुल मतलब इजराइल में फैले फैले लोगों को कहीं पे भी किसी भी बंदे ने क्ले को हाथ लगाया और मैं उनको मेल भेज रही हूँ प्लीज मेरे को यहाँ पे अपने पास कोई ग्रेजुएशन प्रोजेक्ट करने दो एंड लाइक 2-3 people told me कि हाँ come here meet with me we'll figure it out and 2 people were excited about it and I liked one more than the other and I kept for like when I came back to campus I kept thinking मैं इसके साथ करने वाली हूँ and then at some point she just randomly told me oh नहीं हो सकता and I was like oh fuck how will I go meet my boy again and it wasn't the name of the project I just wanted to meet him again and I found the other person and that worked out. I went there. I found this insane deal where she just told me, you can use this giant studio, do whatever you want. You can use anything, any material, anything. You can work here as long as you want. Here's the key. And I was like, what? And yeah, I had the key. I think I used the studio more than she did in the entire year. And I just got so much independence, and it felt like such a like I really hated my life in college. Like I was really tapta hua bacha, I was really angry at everything, was in depression for half of it, was just really angry, just like a really tiny rebellious child who was like the world hates me. And I kept taking it out on myself, on the people around me. And the moment I felt like, okay, मैं यहाँ से निकली हूँ and I'm going to be able to do my graduation project on my terms, it just kind of reinstated that belief that I have in myself. Ki, listen, when I do get to live on my own terms, I'm fucking good at it. Because वहाँ पे whenever I would make anything, like I could just make like a base form. Just random Israeli aunties who would come and work in the studio would be so impressed. We'd be like, oh my God, can we pay you to just make a flower on our pot? And I was like, really? People will pay me to make a flower on their pot? Is my talent worth that? And yeah, I just guess ki after many, many years of feeling like everyone doubts me, even though I don't doubt myself, like there's a very very specific experience I was having in NIT where never in my life have I doubted my own potential. Like I know that I'm really good at whatever I do, but I just have a hard time proving it to people if they don't give me my space to like, because like, and this doesn't work well in an institution. That was the problem. It's not just ki, oh my god, NIT is garbage, or like all the teachers who were there were like garbage. It's not that. It's just that my personality, my work style, my frame of mind just doesn't work in an institution. They require some standard protocol, and I cannot for shit give you a standard protocol. Like I'll do it my way, and if I don't do it my way, I'll just sit there like with like a brat, like fuck you, मैं नहीं बात करती, like that. It's really unhealthy actually. But yeah, I'm working on it. Like I'm now having to work with a lot of people, guide a lot of people, help a lot of people, and slowly I'm just becoming way more patient, way more okay with things, the whatever way they are, everything's gonna be okay if I just like keep going thoda thoda karke. So yeah, I learned all of that in a very, very, I don't know, I think not a very typical way. Not in college, definitely.
So you talked about your own experience, how difficult it was sometimes in your life. And as much as my knowledge goes, you also have therapy classes in your pottery, like therapy pottery in your studio.
Yes, yeah, like not established yet that we've conducted lots of them and we now know a protocol or whatever. Like I can't make any claims like that, but definitely enough that we've tested it so many times with so many different sorts of personalities and how they would engage in a certain sort of task. And not even that time, like even like hafta later or like a mahina later, something that they would have to say about their experience, and they remember it, they remember holding the tool in a certain way. So it's, you can't take that as a joke. Like it does mean something. One activity that was completely out of someone's comfort zone kind of struck a chord somewhere. So yeah, it has immense potential for therapy. I myself, something that I dealt with for, I don't know, like 20 years, was finally able to resolve emotionally by just being like, oh my God, this material is really difficult. I just can't control it, but I'm going to try. Like, that's really something that I don't think I would have learned otherwise if I wasn't working in this specifically.
It's amazing how empathetic you are. It's like we always keep talking about empathy in NID, and you kind of have actually used it and try to help other people.
Yeah, I would have wanted to more. I would have definitely, like, somewhere in the past year or two, definitely felt like empathy is it. Like, I don't really care about something other than just making sure I'm um, giving people a more satisfied experience of life. Not even ceramic, just making sure people find a way to be a bit happier or just a bit more at peace with whatever is happening, which is one reason why I steer clear of lots of, I don't know, angst posting. Like most of the content that you'd see that I put online is very, it doesn't say anything really intense. Like it doesn't ever want to make sure that I tell you this is how I think, and everyone who doesn't think that way can go themselves. Like that's just the opposite of what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to tell people that कुछ भी हो सकता है और जो भी हो रहा है वो किसी ना किसी तरीके से अच्छा है, and there's a way to find some goodness in that. So I'm wanting to somehow incorporate all of this into what I do, but having a bit of a tough time because I'm way more like a skill-based artisan designer rather than someone who's very like concept. Like मेरे को वो काम करने में जितना मजा आता है और उस चीज को मोड़ के उस like doing something that wasn't possible, वो करने में बहुत ज्यादा मजा आता है. तो I don't know how to bring the empathy part super into this, but I definitely want to somehow.
It's nice. So right now, while we were conversing, we got a question for you. I'll just pop it out.
Yes.
So the question goes like, where do you draw the line between art and design when it comes to the field of ceramics? And it's from Satvik. So
okay, so I'm gonna show you this cup. Can you see it?
Yeah.
दिख रहा है?
Pottery. हाँ.
So this is all. It's all 000 के ब्रश से, बहुत इंटेंस डिफिकल्ट कलर्स से एक सिरेमिक कप के ऊपर करा हुआ आर्ट पीस. ओके, इट्स heavy painting. It requires really intense skill of understanding composition क्या होती है, colors क्या होते हैं, opacity क्या होती है, etc etc. But on top of that, it requires another really immense understanding of ceramic के ये वाले colors which aren't colors as such, they're मिट्टी. So how do you paint with mitti that it ends up looking like an acrylic painting? These are all very, very complicated fields that I keep trying to combine because I've been doing them for a long time. I do have lots of experience, but iska मैं क्या करूं? What do I do with this cup? It took me like, you can say, 1.5 दिन of just doing this. Like I did nothing else in the day except for paint this one damn cup for like 1.5 days. And 1.5 days for someone who works in the amount of different tasks that I do, like I manage the studio entirely on my own. तो इतना कुछ करने को होता है, तो मेरे लिए 1.5 दिन सिर्फ ये कप पेंट करने के लिए निकालना is a bit insane. I would say there is no line. I would say कुछ लोग कहेंगे this is the line, don't do this. There is no reason, no one's gonna buy it for like 20,000-30,000 bucks, unless 1%. Like नहीं होता, it's not happening. No one has the money, even if they love the concept. But sometimes we just do things because we want to, because they're fun. And I wanted to do it for a very long time. मैं 2 साल से imagine कर रही हूँ कि मेरा कभी studio होगा और मैं इतने जो cool painting करती हूँ, मैं एक दिन वो cup पे करूँगी. And वो मैंने किया. And that's the end of it. So I don't know if there's a line. I just know that there are things that we want to do and we do them.
Kind of keeps us happy and satisfied as humans. I completely relate with you.
Yeah.
So we were talking about things कि कोई चीजें हम बनाते हैं and we might not find buyers.
Yeah.
And इसी time पे we have got so many questions like how do we set up a ceramic studio and the business around it? How do we find clients? How do we do the pricing? So maybe some insight into it because you've aced it now. Yeah.
Okay, so I started in January last year. And January I would say I technically started the moment I came back from Israel, which was in August last year. उस टाइम पे मैंने 3 महीने स्पेंड किए टू एबल टू रिसर्च में सबसे सस्ती और सबसे अच्छी किल्न कहाँ से कैसे बनवा सकती हूँ. वो करने के बाद I started wondering exactly who is the best dealer in clay, who is the best dealer in raw material, and it's not like through research I could find the best one. The research goes out to you saying, okay, this is what I think from the internet. Now I will attempt this. Now, after having done this 5 times, I now realize this might not have been the best thing. So now my research has to go over. All of this is kind of research. In a way that I would say, मैं 1.5 साल in, I'm still researching for half the shit that happens here. Some like 3 months ago, some woman gave me an order for painting on kansa, which is bronze. These like bronze plates that you find them on some websites. But then I was really confused because metal pay, do you put beeswax to seal it? Like it has to be food safe, right? So what sort of sealer am I putting? Because most sealers that are durable enough to stay on metal have to be synthetic and they can't be food safe. Spent about 2 months in just researching कि ये कैसे होगा. She hadn't given me the order yet. She had just told me मुझे ये चाहिए. But I knew that if the order comes in, it'll be a big one. Just the potential कि मेरे पास इतनी सारी plates का order आएगा. I spent so much time in research. Found this really cool resin that is food safe. figured out so much client back and forth, figured out so like corona के बीच में I'm finding so many like कांसा dealers आपके पास 5 इंच के diameter का bowl होगा like insane. Okay, बहुत time चला गया इसमें. I'm now at a point that I still have to finish the order, but I hate it. I don't want to do the order anymore. I can't look at Kansa or acrylic paints again. I don't want to. But I would say the whole process of setting up a studio, how do you do ceramic? It's not for someone who I don't know, either gives up easy or can't take risks. It's just so risky to do this. You're going to keep seeing other people who have stable jobs, who have like somebody paying them for the month of work they're putting in. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, is एक month में मेरे पास लाख रुपए आ गया. Wow, I'm so happy. And then उसके अगले 2 महीने I'm just like, oh my God, ये pot ही नहीं बन रहा. Like it's really intense. कुछ भी हो सकता है. Anytime is anything. But it's possible. It's actually not even that hard. Like compared to other hard things in life, I wouldn't even say it's really, really difficult. If you start slow, you're gonna be able to do it. If you have space, you would probably find like easy ways to do it. If you need help, I will help you out, giving you all the contacts that I have. No problem. Definitely one thing you should have wanting to set something up is someone who's willing to help you. Now, it doesn't even have to be someone from your specific, like, like if you want to set up a ceramic studio, it's not just someone like me. For me, it was my father who has his own business and is really good at research and is a really, really strong risk taking guy. It has to be any help, but there has to be help. You cannot do it like, मैंने सबको wrong prove कर देना है, my parents keep doubting me. No, if your parents keep doubting you and you have to live with them, you probably won't be able to start a studio. You have to first convince your support system that this is something you need to do and is the best thing to happen, and then do it.
That's really nice. Like, I would just put another question because we have questions related to this coming up a lot.
Okay.
So, yeah, so there's another question on similar lines, that how do you do it right after your graduation? And there's another one coming about how do we find clients on our own around us in our context. Yeah.
Okay, so one really interesting thing about marketing on Instagram is that I think everyone knows this. The more active you are on Instagram, the more exposure you get to people. The more Instagram only shows other people your posts. So if you're literally just posting something every day, either on your story or on your post or whatever, you're commenting on a bunch of people, you're following a bunch of people, as long as you are spending time on this screen on Instagram is going to pay this back to you by showing your shit to multiple people. This is how you get clients, because at the end of the day, why do you have clients? Because they like what you are making. What are you making? Do you like what you're making? If you like what you're making, then you'll probably find someone who likes what you are making as well. But you really need to not think about the client part and first think about what do you want to do. There has to be way more clarity and way more curiosity and just confidence within yourself before you start seeking it from other people. Clients, yes, you cannot survive without people paying you, but they will only pay you once you ask for it. Like, I don't know how much I have to tell people this. Stop quoting a lower price than you think you deserve. Please stop doing that. अगर वो नहीं लेते उस प्राइस में तो वो ना ले. I know you need the business, but don't sell yourself short. If you sell yourself short, you will keep getting people who expect that. The moment you start quoting what you think you deserve, you will eventually, it will be slightly slower, but in the long scheme of things, it's not even slow. It's pretty like और महीने में आ गया और 2 हफ्ते में आ गया, but आएंगे लोग पक्का. Promise. I'll put them in touch with you.
That's a good reassurance. Okay, again, we have another question. How to start commission-based work at an early stage?
In ceramic or graphic?
I don't know. It's by Lemon Shemin, and it's a pretty much open-ended question. So, do you want to take it up as a designer, like in any field?
How do you start working freelance, like commissions, basically? I would say it would be a very similar answer to the marketing thing, which is like your primary focus has to be on the content that you're creating. Let's say you're a graphic designer. Like a lot of times graphic designers have this thing ki, oh, what do I put out if I don't get orders? Okay, what kind of orders do you want? Do you want to make posters? Make a bunch of posters of things you like. Make a poster of like Star Wars. Make a poster of like some brand that you really like, some band you really like, anything. But show someone that this is something you can do. You will find people who want to do exactly that. One thing I want to bring up, you told me this in like Purani questions, lifafa wala art. The lifafa art blew up in ways I couldn't imagine, especially because I had been painting like that lifafa wala art specifically. I'd been painting like that for like 3 years. I'd been putting work. I'm someone who truly believes in kuch banaye, dikha do kisi ko. Please dikhao. Jitne logon ko dikha sakte dikhao. And I had been putting that for really long and nothing ever blew up. Okay. It was really like chill and I didn't mind that. And wait one second, I have the lifafa artwork here.
I love this music and I love this album cover. It's amazing.
Thank you. So one thing I want to make sure you know is that it wasn't designed by me. It was just painted by me. It was designed by Suryakant himself. Suryakant gave me such a tight fucking brief. He was like, Suno, ye rahi ek image of this vintage guy in a suit. This is an image of me. I want this. And I was like, okay, gonna give you this. Exactly this. And the thing is, he approached me. I was a complete like I didn't have too many followers. There was no reason that Suryakant would know me. He just knew me for some like coincidence. And he said that I really like the way you paint. He commissioned me to do this at a time that even he didn't have money. We were just like, oh my, he messaged me and I was like, oh my god, I love you so much. I love you so much because I loved him way before Lifafa, okay, like way before he was a brand. I loved him since like really long, since Peter Cat, before Peter Cat. So yeah, when he messaged me, I was like, wow, you're a god to me. And of course, I'm gonna make anything you want. Kitne draft chahiye? Main tumhe 20 de dungi. I don't care. But like, yeah, I made this thing and he released it actually a year and a half after I made it. Like he got married in between. So yeah, it came out late, but then when it came out, it blew up. And the moral of the story is he came to me because he liked the way I painted. There was nothing else. And there was no reason this guy would have known me. It's just marketing coincidence, Instagram coincidence. And this happens to everybody. It's not like a rare fucking coincidence. You'll find random ass people following you who have the money to ask you for something you want to make.
Great. Okay. I will just like, we had enough business talk. I would really like to talk about aesthetics.
Yes.
So I will start with talking about your obsession with old world classic Bollywood divas. So you carve them out, paint them out. That's like such a slow and painstaking process. So just tell us about your inspirations, about your graphics. Why do you do them the way you do them?
I would say there isn't that much thought that has gone into this. There is not any, I don't know, there's not that much depth to this other than just that I really like the visual aesthetic of vintage graphic. And that's it. Vintage graphic is so vast. Obviously, I'm just saying, oh my god, 70s se graphic pasand hai. What fucking bullshit is that? Like, it has to be, but I just like, really like, I like most of it. I really like the color part. I really like the non-color part. I really like the really intricate part. I really like the bold, white, minimalistic part. All of it. It just, I don't know. I really don't know. Some things just appeal to you, don't they? Some things just jump out and there's no that much of an explanation. It's ever since I was like a small child. I don't know how much you can explain about why you liked something as a small child and you continue doing so through your 20s. Like, the logo that I made, this was really interesting to me, that when people are trying to make a logo for themselves, it's so difficult because they're like, oh my god, this represents me. This has to be a summation of my design language. Dude, I made it in like 15 minutes. I was just like, mujhe na postage stamps bahut pasand hai. And I just sat there and I doodled like a really cute postage stamp around a ceramic piece. And I was like, cute. I don't make vintage ceramic. I don't do that. Vintage ceramic is really different. It's really curvy. It's really like wheel thrown. I do completely different stuff. But I just like the way it looks. And it doesn't have to mean so much. It still looks like a pretty cute logo. And
Yeah,
it looks cute next to my name. And I don't know, sometimes things can just be that. It's fine.
and it's doing amazing. I love the logo, and I have been
Thank
following
you.
you for a long time personally, and I love your aesthetics. The recent piece you made, the one you also love a lot, like,
Yeah.
can you tell us something about it? The process, like the carving, it's
Um,
amazing.
that was took a day to throw. It took a day to trim. And when I say a day, I mean majority of the day. Then it took 3 to 4 days to carve, which was insane because itna bada coverage hai. And I'm not the sort of person who spends so much time on one thing. I'm a really quick worker. Like it's scary. Like I don't care about anything when I'm working. It's not healthy. But yeah, my work style is not that. And the fact that I made that was a really big thing for me. I was like, मैंने इतना काम कैसे कर लिया? And then when I did that, I thought that my work had stopped there and I was just gonna glaze it with a thing and then put it in the kiln and have an effect. But then the more I looked at it, I was like, यार इसमें बहुत मेहनत गई है. इसको मैं सिर्फ glaze नहीं कर सकती. And then I sat and hand painted the whole thing. उसकी
I can see
depth, it was so insane. I spent so many hours on this piece, but I love it so much.
it.
Some things are
Like,
just, yeah.
so I'm going to take advantage of being the host, and I'm going to ask you a really personal question about me. Like, you sit down on a vase for like 4 days and do it. I don't have that kind of patience. So how do you get that kind of patience to just stick to one product of yours or art of yours and get through it?
I actually am not the greatest person to ask this question because I just told you I don't do it. I am not the sort of person who does that. I make way more smaller things and I just, yeah, I don't really have, I don't know if it's the fact that I lack the patience. I just think that जो बहुत immense amount of time होता है, वो किसी ऐसी चीज को देना चाहिए that really deserves it. Like, it was just an amazing concept. And those don't come by that often. Like, there can be good concepts. There's not artisanal concepts. There's not concepts that make you like, 2 lakhs a piece, sort of. Like, it's not the stuff that gets like, those are insane concepts. So when you reach that, when you have that idea, you're just like, wow, this is an amazing idea. I really want to spend some time on it. It happens automatically. You can't force it. The idea has to come to you, etc., etc.
Maybe just the process is rare. That's why we think we can't do it, but
Yeah,
we
I
can
mean
do
that's
it.
why there isn't that many people getting displayed in exhibitions. I mean, there's a ton. I mean, there's obviously really faltuka exhibitions in the world as well, but I guess stuff that you don't respect as many fine artists, right? It's rare. Someone
Yeah.
asked me what is the routine that I follow. Um, I don't know if there's a routine because I am the packaging head, the researcher, the production, the cleaner, the glaze maker, the kiln fixer, the everything खुद ही कर रही हूँ मैं. कभी किसी का टाइम आता है, कभी कोई हफ्ते में कुछ होना होता है, कभी ये डेडलाइन आ रही होती है. And the thing is, all the deadlines I place on myself only. मैंने ही अपने आप को बोला हुआ है, भाई तू इस डेट तक प्लीज ये सब खत्म कर ले, ये और नहीं हो सकता हमसे. So it's very, I would say, yeah, I'm pretty overworked. That's something I struggle with all the time. It's really, really difficult to not ask so much of myself. But it's getting better every day. थोड़ा थोड़ा करके, yeah.
How has been lockdown for you? I'm sure you don't have your students in your studio
Yeah,
right now, right?
I'm not teaching. Yeah, yeah. So I don't have students coming in. I do have like 1 or 2 people that come here and use the studio for their projects, and like they're safe type people, like मेरे दोस्त हैं, तो I know like that's what I can allow coming into the studio, which is in my house. So it's not like someone comes and contaminates my studio. Something happens, it happens to my family as well. So I can't take that risk. And Uh, yeah, so the lockdown was right before the lockdown. I was really overworking myself with teaching because I had just opened up to like local students, and I marketed pretty well, and that meant that I had a lot of students. And I'm also really flexible. Like, I'm just someone who doesn't like to hear no, so I will bend over backwards to make sure that I can figure out a way to flex for you. You can't make it at 3 p.m. You can make it on Wednesday 5 p.m. It's okay. I will find a way to make you fit into a class. Like, it's really, really insane. ये बहुत healthy चीज नहीं होती है करने के लिए, especially when you are like managing your own business. But yeah, I was doing that and I was really overworked. And then Corona happened and I was so thankful. I was like, yes, everyone move out, don't come back, never, just go away. And then, yeah, Corona went really, really bad. And then I didn't want to get back students. But what I had started doing was just orders. And then that also, I mean, itna sare orders mil jate the. I mean, yes, one thing is because I'm really flexible. Someone says, oh, I really like what you made here, but I have a budget of like 4,000. I'm a designer and I take this as a challenge. Like, oh, she only has 4,000. How do I make this? Reduce my time, reduce the firing cost, reduce this. And like, I make way more work for myself just because I didn't want to say no to this potential client. And this is what I do all the time. This is why I have many orders, because I'm a crazy person. And this is what I'm working on, to not take as many orders and to have like some limits कि नहीं ये ही होगा, इससे आगे नहीं होगा.
So there's this like very ceramic exclusive question that you have to fill the thing up to fire it, right?
Yeah, that's a huge problem because my kiln is gigantic. It's like the inner chamber is 2 feet by 2 feet by 2 feet. It can fit like it can fit like 300 cups if I wanted it to fill it with that. Like big fucking giant cups. Like 300, 400. That's how big it is.
If you have like 2, 3 orders, but then you don't have enough orders to fill it up, so how
तो
do you
एक
go
तो
about
ये चीज होती है कि first of all, one thing that I'm very like something I can't adjust for is की delivery date. Like if अगर मेरे पास बाकी kiln filled up नहीं है and you tell me मुझे परसों चाहिए, मैं नहीं दे पाऊंगी. That's not, I can't adjust that. But the thing is, it would have been easy because my production speed is really fast. So I can fill it up really easy. It's not a big deal. मेरे को हफ्ता भी नहीं लगता पूरी kiln भरने में. But that's not my problem. I created more problems for myself because I do lots of different sorts of work. So now I have 5 different temperature firings, which means मैं 850 पे एक फायरिंग करती हूँ, मैं 1000 पे एक फायरिंग करती हूँ, मैं 1150 पे एक फायरिंग करती हूँ, 1100 पे करती हूँ और एक 1200 पे करती हूँ. मेरे पास इन सारे टेम्परेचर्स में हर बार किल्न पूरी भरनी होती है फॉर ईच ऑफ द, एंड उन सब में डिफरेंट डिफरेंट तरीके की चीजें निकलती हैं. सो इफ यू टेल मी कि ओ मेरे को रियली इंडिगो व्हाइट वाला सिरेमिक सेट चाहिए, आई कांट फिल इट अप till the time that specific temperature ka kiln is pura filled. That makes it a whole lot harder. But yeah, I do it. I do it because I really like everything I make. It's as simple as that. I don't wanna give up.
do you plan to go into mass production anytime? Like yours is a very process.
I
And
actually do take, interestingly enough, as a designer and as someone who's really curious about being able to make everything. That's that, by the way, that's one of my like goals. I think I didn't even admit it to myself, but I'm driven and my motivation is to be able to solve everything. Anytime I see something, I go like, ये कैसे बना होगा? I wanna make it and I would put everything else on a back burner and try to make that. I just want to solve things and fix things, and yeah, that takes up a lot of my time. So what was the question? What was the question?
okay. Yeah. Even I was like stuck with what you were saying, so I also forgot what was the question.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I'm sorry.
Okay, I just like go ahead with the conversation. Like I was thinking about how you were telling about trying a lot of different things. And then I got reminded of one of your interviews where you were telling that you take a lot of inspiration from the internet.
Yeah.
So I was curious if you could tell us some of the artists that people may follow to
On
get it
like
on Instagram
internationally or locally?
yeah.
I think there's
Anything works, like people who inspire you.
there's so many, and also one thing I have is that I end up remembering names of artists or even like the identity of who made it a lot less than I remember the very specific details of the product that I saw that inspired me. In a way, saying ki it's less the people that inspire me, it's way more the work itself, and my visual memory is just way better. So I remember things in terms of there's this person who makes something like this and they do this to the clay and then that. I don't remember the names though. So there's a bunch of work like that. And if you guys want, someone can just comment if you guys want this. I can do like a huge story post of amazing artists all over the world that do insane in like ceramic shit that I'm inspired by all the time.
Yeah, I'm just gonna okay, there's yes.
Okay. Fine. I will do that.
Okay. So we were talking about mass production. I got reminded. Thank you, Varun,
Yes.
for reminding me. Yeah. Talking
So
about
this
mass
one
production.
time, like 4 or 5 months into when I started the studio, I took this mass production order. That was like 200-ish pieces or something. And one thing that you will obviously falter in is that जैसे ही आपको कोई मास प्रोडक्शन के लिए कुछ बोलता है ना, you completely go off on what the cost should be like when it's for mass. You like because they treat you like you're the industry. They're like, अरे हम आपसे इतना अमाउंट ले रहे हैं, इतना तो डिस्काउंट दो, this that, and वो करते करते the discount becomes so small. Like you're like you works. Hello, yeah, okay. You work so hard and you're not getting paid enough for it. And at the end of the day, you aren't someone who's in like someone who just works in a craft cluster. You studied so much, तुम्हें इतना कुछ करना आता है, तुम्हें इतनी डिजाइन प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करनी आती है, पर तुम सेम चीज 200 बार क्यों बना रहे हो? Literally same. Like it can't even have इतना सा difference. They don't want it. Like that's just, I don't know. Like, there are different sorts of mass production. Honestly, there should be like there's an industrial mass production thing, which is like बहुत सारे pieces. हमें बहुत cheap में बहुत सारे लोगों को बेचना है. That's just shit. Like, I don't know if it works well for any designer. If you are the person making it, of course you can tell some craft cluster कि मैंने ये design कर दिया, ये बनाते जाओ. खुद मत बनाना, that's awful. But there's this other mass production thing where you're making like a nice amount, like you're saying 50, 60 of this really complicated sa thing. You don't mind because आप थोड़ी चीजें उसमें different करोगे. You'll keep trying like halka stuff, and then you'll work, थोड़ा सा experiment with the colors, you'll experiment with the finish, you'll experiment with the form. Like बहुत कुछ होता है करने को if the numbers is just this much. And even then, just make sure that you don't discount stuff a lot. Like, no, it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Okay, so you were talking about we getting trained as designers and how we do a lot of work to get there where we are. Yeah. So there was one question regarding that. I'll just pop it out. Let me search. Yeah. Can you see? Is it really important to get into an idea?
Oh, no way. Bro, the one thing I tell everyone who asks me how to get into NID, go like, don't. Not because it's not a good college. It honestly is a good design college. Their curriculum has been developed over so many years. It teaches you some design principles insanely well. Like, I haven't seen itni clarity of some of the design principles I have in lots of international students as well. Like, there is something happening here that is great. But in no way does that mean that this is how you become a designer. Dude, when I was 14 years old and I was designing a set for myself to be able to create a really good photo shoot in this one concept scheme I had, that was design. There was something in me that wanted to fix a problem and do it in an innovative and creative way. That's design. So I have multiple friends who are in the design industry and have not studied design. the person who I work with very closely, her name is Aditi. She's the one doing the fabric ceramica series with me. She paints design. She does not know like the basic principles. She just understands a visual really well, and she's a really hardworking person. And it comes down to really basic traits at the end of the day. Yeah, theory helps you a lot. Theory helps you guide other people. That's one thing I think theory does really, really well. You need to know why something is a certain way, and you can only get there once you study all the other bullshit around it. But not everyone needs to do that. Not every designer needs to do that. Sometimes you guys just need to be able to make like a movie poster for someone. That's like you're still a designer and you'll find tons of work if just that's the kind of designer. I mean, I'm gonna be looking to employ someone in my studio, and it's a very very design studio, but I know that I can train any creative person, I can train any curious person. There's way more principal qualities that a designer needs than the education of being a designer.
Yeah, I guess I get you. I'm afraid we are losing time. Like we are at 5:50, so I do not want to lose the chance at looking at some of your products if you have them around, some of
Yeah,
your creations.
yeah. This thing
Uh,
you asked, definitely to be able to
yes.
see.
So I'm
And
just so you hand painted this?
yeah, all the text.
It's amazing.
And it's
So
hand, especially with your tiny brush. You need your hand or your wrist or your this part to be able to rest somewhere really well. Like you need to have way more control over this area than this area. So if it's not resting, your hand is not confident. And to be able to do this is much harder because like where do I rest my hand to be able to do yahan ka kaam aise? I do stuff like that in like really, really insane positions and ways. Also, there's this fabric ceramic stuff, by the way, that I haven't released yet because we're still working on lots of um different products in it. But this is all ceramic.
okay,
It's
so you
just
have painted
painted.
the yeah.
Yeah, so
So
it's
you
all
also painting by
hand painted.
yourself?
Yeah. No, like this fabric ceramic series I'm doing with the artist I was telling you about. Aditi is her name, and she's a graphic designer and she paints really well. So we're doing this together. Like some of the pieces she paints, some of the pieces I paint, we make them together because I taught her how to work in the studio. So it's like it's like a 50-50 project. And so this is how the piece looks once you've like baked the clay once, the fabric
So
piece. Then this is how it looks once you've painted it. So the whole
oh,
yellow, turquoise, the the really thin black line ka part. Look how
yeah.
small that is. Yeah, so that's all done with like a 000 brush. And then it comes out to look like,
This looks very pretty, and it's amazing how you make it look like all crumpled. Kapre, actually,
yeah,
it's a vibe.
yeah.
So, do you have any kind of bias about what type of prints you like, or do you just like go all out and explore whatever prints you come across?
I think there is a predominant concern about what visually will look good on ceramic in the way we paint. Like there's all these limitations that you set for yourself by doing it in this material. And you need to respect that. So something like ikat is not going to come out nice because it's a thread work thing. It's very specific to the fact that आप हल्का सा thread इतना सा feel करते हो and then you realize, oh, it's just the thread that is this line. You can't do that on ceramic really well unless I figure out the surface to feel like a thread, which I'm working on. So there's all this that you have to gauge कि क्या अच्छा लगेगा. So it's less about, oh, what do I personally like, and it's way more about what will look good.
It's nice. I personally love your flower prints because they look so intricate, and I know it's handmade and it's awesome.
Thank you so much.
I guess welcome. So I was just thinking if you could, I know you gave us a lot of pointers about how to start our own business, how to go about art, but still,
Yeah.
with the Baatein tradition, I want you to give some message for young designers, for people looking at up to you as an inspiration. What do you want to tell them?
Mm, a bit difficult. I would say it would be a summation of everything that I've said already, which is, I don't know, always put at the center of everything the fact that you left a normal life to be able to create the way you do. And there's a reason why other people have pay packages and, have to do stuff that seems less interesting. Try to make it way more about enjoying what you're doing. I struggle with this multiple times because I get carried away with feeling like, did I charge enough for this thing? I've put in itna effort. Is it worth my time? मेरे को इतना कुछ करना पड़ रहा है. Should I ship? Should I not ship? Like there's always going to be reasons for you to keep feeling like, I don't know, it's not worth it, or maybe you don't get paid enough, or maybe it's too hard to do it alone, or that nobody understands the thing specifically exactly the way you do. Like it's very, very difficult for me to, like, a lot of times people have told me, oh, you're really struggling, dude, you should get someone to help you with this part, you should get someone to help you with the marketing. But why would someone know how to market this extremely, extremely personal view of ceramic? Because the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to understand my thing with this, na? And when I want to put it out, I want to put it out to be able to tell you my thing, because that's what the piece was saying. So how can I do that? How can I outsource some really, really basic tasks that I think to be the essence of what this all is to someone else? There's going to be tons of reasons for you to not feel happy with what you do. But yeah, just say no to things that you think would not make you happy. And you're not going to get really good at this without having experienced it first. You kind of need to experience getting used. You need to experience people, I don't know, stealing money, people just straight up not paying you and then blocking you. Like, itna kuch ho chuka hai in the past 1.5 years, and it's just been 1.5 years. Like, I don't even know the amount of like shitstorm that is headed my way. But yeah, I mean, it's all part and parcel. And every night that I go to sleep, I feel really happy with my day and my life. And my studio is downstairs in my basement. And at any point of time, I can just come down here and just look at things. I don't know, there are millions of reasons to complain and whine about everything that keeps going wrong and shit keeps breaking and like stuff keeps dying and I keep having to help people fix things. But it's just, I'm really happy. I'm really, really happy. And I would not give it up for anything. And I would recommend this life to anyone I know. Anyone I know who thinks even slightly like me, I will find some ways to make them feel what I feel, because this is why I was doing it. It makes me feel this good.
It's really touching. So I'm going to take advantage of the fact that you're back with me for, we have an hour in our hand. We won't take an hour, but just one more question. Ceramics is something that has a little bit of uncertainty involved when it comes to the result, because you don't know if your pot's going to break, if something wrong. So
Yeah.
how do you deal with it as a designer, as an artist?
I would
How
say
does
it
it
makes you a way better person. Like, to feel like you don't have control over life. I think that's something everyone needs to be able to learn in a healthy way without fighting it so much. Every one of us fights so much with the idea that, oh my God, things aren't going the way that we want them to. And that's this whole material. It doesn't go the way you want it to almost ever. Like, every time that I do a firing, and imagine this is the final summation of all your efforts, right? Every firing is just like it's all gathered up now. This is make it or break it time. And every time you put that in, it's a bit harder to sleep at night because anything can go wrong. Anything. Like stuff, an entire kiln has just fell inside once. There's a huge amount of stuff that got displaced like this into the kiln and fell on top of each other and got stuck together. There is stuff that's happened with glazes, just huge chemistry problems, huge temperature problems, just कुछ भी हो जाता है. Kuch bhi. I can't even explain it in any other way, but like if you just experience it for like a couple of months, there is such little control and there is such little expectation कि मैंने 2 महीने से ये करी थी, मेरी लाइफ में भी यही होने वाला. Every 2 months I'm crying. Every 2 months I have some huge like, oh my god, सब तबाह हो गया, मेरी सारी मेहनत बर्बाद. And the next day I wake up and I'm really excited again. So I think it's just about what are you in this for the final products. You were kind of in this for the joy it gives you every day. So yeah, it's everything comes back to just finding a way to be happy every day.
It's like you are in love with your art, your craft, and
Yeah.
it actually shows up in your product. And I guess that's the biggest takeaway from this session, that at the end of the day, we should love what we do. And I love to see you, how happy you are, genuinely happy. Thank you so much, Vivitsa. It has been a great session. Such a communicative one. The audience has been so good. They have been putting up questions. When we put up the story, there were like a bunch, around 50 questions. And then now they love you.
Okay, one thing I just want to say to everyone before I go is that I have some very, very bitter experiences with NID. And it's not that it doesn't come out of, just hate or something that I would hold over someone. It's not a personal thing. It's just, I relate it to a really bad mental space. And I just want to say if you experience similar mental states, they're mental states. They're not the people around you, they're not life. It is how you're perceiving it and what you're placing importance in at that moment of time. If you find a way to short circuit that, to just at every day just be like, oh, ye wali cheez, you know what, it was kind of nice. And just really kind of focus in on that. Like, you know what, life mein bahut kuch ho raha hai, but ye wali cheez to ho rahi hai, ye to thoda sa acha ho raha hai. And the more you do that, that's just what it all comes down to. The whole thing, everything.
Message, and we don't really talk about it much, but as creators, it's really necessary that we are in a healthy mental space, so we have to take care of ourselves, and that's a good message to send out. So before we go, can you just tell us how to join your classes, how to go to your studio, because there are a lot of people writing that they really want to work with.
For a lot of NID people, I'm going to be looking into employing at some point soonish. So if it's something that you want to do or have any thoughts about, most of the how do I reach you is just reach me, just text me. It's just me, कोई और handle नहीं करता, मैं ही हर time reply कर रही होती हूँ, and it's going to be really, really personal the way I was in the stock. I don't hide anything. So it's going to be really straightforward. And anytime you need help, anytime you feel like I can't figure out this opening my own business thing or figuring out material or figuring out how to get clients or any of that, just text me. I say this every time I do a talk, but not enough people text me questions in life. And I'm telling you, I'm super, super excited about helping people figure out what they want to do.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. I loved having to have this opportunity to be your host. And we are looking forward to the fact that maybe someday the campus opens up and we get you there in real time. It would be lovely. Before I leave, I'd like to thank my team also, who have been a great support, and thanks, audience.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
Bye, people.
Bye.